Hello, and welcome to Truth or AI. Tonight you will hear three tales that will blur the lines between reality and imagination. Two stories are based on real-life events, and one is complete fiction. Can you tell the difference? Let's find out. We begin tonight with our first story about a truck driver who heard more than he should have.
In the summer of 1998, a truck driver named Michael Hayes was driving overnight through the Nevada desert. The coffee was not working, so to stay awake, he started to flick through local radio stations. That's when he stumbled on something strange. The broadcast wasn't music or talk radio. It was a woman's voice, flat and robotic, reading out numbers. 7, 12, 94, 7, over and over again. Occasionally there would be bursts of distorted music, almost like an old lullaby playing through broken speakers. Michael listened for nearly half an hour, hypnotized. Then suddenly, the station went silent. Static. The next night, driving the same route, he tuned to the same frequency. The voice was back, but this time, it was a man. At one point, the voice paused and said Michael's full name. He panicked and swerved onto the shoulder, nearly wrecking his rig. After composing himself, he continued to drive, but something didn't feel right. When he arrived in the next town, he saw a police officer at the truck stop and hesitantly told him what had happened. It was dismissed as fatigue and laughed off by the officer. A week or so later, Michael was on a return trip as part of a team drive. He mentioned the occurrence, and together, they tried to tune into the frequency. All they got was static. Here's the unsettling part. A year later, while traveling in a completely different state, Arkansas, Michael was scanning through stations again, and for less than a minute, he picked it up. The same numbers, the same lullaby, and at the very end, the same flat voice saying, "We see you."
What do you think? Phantom radio signals? Sounds made up. Let's continue on and see what we have next. Our next tale shows that a good deal may come with more than you bargained for.
In 2004, a man named Daniel Croft rented a cheap apartment in Newark, New Jersey. The place was old, drafty, and smelled faintly of mildew, but it was all he could afford. The landlord, an older man named Mr. Ellison, showed him around. Everything was normal until they reached the last door at the end of the hallway. Mr. Ellison put his hand on the knob, paused, then simply said, "This room is off limits." Daniel thought it was a storage closet, but when he moved in, he realized it was actually a full bedroom. The door was bolted, sealed with layers of paint, as if someone had tried very hard to make sure no one went inside. Weeks passed. At first, it was just little things, a faint draft coming from under the door, even though there were no vents. Then one night at 3 a.m., Daniel woke to knocking, slow, deliberate, from inside that room. The next morning, he asked Ellison about it. The landlord brushed it off. "Pipes. Old building. Don't worry about it." But the knocking didn't stop. It became more frequent. Sometimes it wasn't even knocking. It was scratching. Long, slow drags across wood. Finally, Daniel pressed his ear to the door. He swore he heard whispering, a woman's voice saying, "Let me out." Terrified, he called Ellison, demanding answers. The landlord reluctantly agreed to come over. He brought a crowbar, pried the door open just a crack, and what Daniel saw inside froze him. The room was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no dust, nothing. Except for one thing: deep scratch marks, hundreds of them, covering the inside of the door. Ellison slammed it shut, nailed it closed again, and told Daniel only this: the last tenant never left.
Well, that was interesting. If the price was right, it might be worth living with the mysterious guest. Let's venture on to our last tale of the evening. This one is about a very long walk in the woods.
In the summer of 2012, a 54-year-old man named Mark Denson set out to hike a section of the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. He was experienced, carried a GPS, and planned only a short 2-day trip. When he didn't return, search teams combed the trail. Helicopters, dogs, hundreds of volunteers. They found nothing. His campsite was intact. His backpack leaned against a tree. His boots and jacket were gone, but his map was still folded neatly in the tent. Weeks turned into months. Authorities eventually declared him presumed dead. 2 years later, in 2014, a gas station clerk nearly dropped dead of fright when Mark stumbled inside. He was thinner, with a long beard, but wearing the exact same clothes from the day he vanished. They weren't weathered, they weren't dirty. They looked freshly laundered. When questioned, Mark could only describe fragments. He remembered hiking, then a bright flash, and waking up in the woods 2 years later, disoriented and starving. Doctors examined him. He was malnourished but otherwise healthy. No memory issues, no brain damage, nothing to explain the missing years. But here's where it gets stranger. His toenails and fingernails were neatly trimmed. His beard was wild, but the rest of him looked maintained. When his wife picked him up, she swore he smelled faintly of ozone, the sharp metallic scent left in the air after lightning strikes. Mark never spoke publicly again. To this day, no one knows where he was or who might have been taking care of him. Some say it was a fugue state. Others, alien abduction. The only thing we know for sure is this. Mark disappeared for 2 years and returned as if no time had passed.
So what do you think? Was our mysterious hiker abducted? Or maybe he was on the run from something? Or maybe this story was the one made up by AI? Let's find out the truth. Story 1. The radio station that shouldn't exist. That was based on real events. Many stations like this have been discovered since World War II. These were especially prevalent during the Cold War and are believed to be broadcasting military intelligence codes. Story 2. The locked room. That one was entirely made up. Did we fool you? Story 3. The hiker who returned. This one was based on the real events of a college student who vanished while on a ski trip. He suddenly returned over a year later. Thank you for listening tonight. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified when our next episode is available. On behalf of the team, I'm Aidan Cross. Good night.